You know that feeling when you click Add to Cart on a UPS that looks sleek on the product page, only to find it barely keeps your server humming for a few minutes when the power actually flickers? I've been there. The listing promised enterprise-grade reliability, but the reality felt more like a kitchen timer. If you're trying to avoid that disappointment, stick around. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The APC Smart-UPS SRT 96V 3kVA is positioned as a bridge between small office backup and true data center power protection. It's not a cheap line interactive unit you'd see under a desk, and it's not a massive rack mount beast meant for megawatt facilities. It lands squarely in the sweet spot where a growing IT department needs a system that can ride out short outages, give you enough runtime to shut down gracefully, and also talk to your monitoring software without a PhD in electrical engineering. First off, let's talk about what actually matters when you plug this thing into a real-world setup. You have a server rack with a couple of 1U blade servers, a network switch, maybe a NAS for backups. The power draw fluctuates throughout the day, but during a brownout you need the UPS to keep everything online long enough for the operating system to hand over to a generator or to safely close applications. The SRT's double conversion topology does exactly that. It constantly conditions the incoming AC, converts it to DC, and then back to clean AC. What that means in plain English is you get a stable sine wave even if your utility is feeding you a ragged line. In the field, that stability translates to fewer unexpected reboots and less wear on sensitive components. One of the practical strengths that shows up in day-to-day use is the hot swap battery capability. The RMB battery pack slides in and out without having to power down the unit. For a server room that can't afford a hard shutdown, that's a game changer. I've seen IT teams replace a depleted pack in minutes, swap the old one for a fresh one, and the UPS never misses a beat. The battery management interface on the front panel gives you a quick glance at charge status, runtime estimate, and any alarms, so you don't have to dig through a web portal every time you want to confirm health. Speaking of web portals, the SRT integrates with APC's PowerShoot network management card. That card lets you monitor voltage, load, temperature, and battery life from a centralized dashboard or even via SNMP alerts. If your organization already uses a monitoring suite like SolarWinds or PRTG, adding the UPS is as simple as dropping in an IP address and a community string. The real-world payoff is you get an early warning before a battery actually fails, a crucial advantage when you're running a 24/7 e-commerce site and can't afford a sudden outage. Now, no product is without trade-offs. The first thing you'll notice is the price tag. The SRT 96V 3kVA sits well above what you'd pay for a consumer-grade UPS, and that's intentional. You're buying a level of redundancy and scalability that most home users never need. The unit also weighs close to 80 pounds, so you'll need a sturdy shelf or rack and probably a second set of hands to mount it. That's not a problem for a server room, but it's a consideration if you're trying to shoehorn it into a cramped office closet. Another practical limitation is runtime. Out of the box, the base battery pack gives you roughly 10 minutes of backup at a 50% load. That's enough to trigger a generator start on many sites. But if your load spikes or you need more than a quick pause, you'll have to invest in additional external battery modules. The good news is the modular design makes that upgrade straightforward, but it does mean the initial purchase might not cover the full runtime you anticipate. It's a hidden cost that shows up once you start mapping your actual power consumption versus the UPS's capacity. Who should consider putting this unit on their shelf? If you run a small to medium business with a dedicated server room, a remote office that depends on VoIP and a VPN concentrator, or a medical practice that needs to keep patient data systems online, the SRT checks the right boxes. It's also a solid fit for a makerspace or a small media production house where you have a few high-end workstations and a NAS that can't afford sudden power loss. In those scenarios, the combination of clean sine wave output, hot swap batteries, and network monitoring justifies the investment. On the flip side, if you're a home office user who runs a single desktop and a router, you'll likely be overpaying. A line interactive UPS in the 800W range would provide enough cushion for a brief outage and cost a fraction of the price. Likewise, gamers or content creators who primarily need protection for a PC and a monitor will find the SRT's features excessive. The unit size, weight, and price make it less appealing for those